Welcome to From the Baseline with Premier Basketball. I'm Mark Williams. I'm joined by Shane Laflin. And this week's episode, we're going to talk Prime East, talk about the bracket now that the bracket has been put out about it this weekend. And we're excited. Shane and I are going up for that event there at Spooky Nook in Pennsylvania. Then we're going to talk a little WNBA and little international. So we appreciate you tuning in today. We're going to jump right in. Prime East. 17U top bracket. The schedule came out this week. What were your initial thoughts on the bracket?
I'm glad I'm not the one that had to make it.
Yes.
We've been working on the teams, and Matt and those guys did a great job with select events. It's a unique bracket with like a 56 teams, I think it was, in the top division. So finding the pairings. I mean, there's fun in that because I've been working on the ones for Dallas, obviously, and it's fun to toss it in the group message and say, what do you guys think about these things? But, man, this is a lot of work, and they did a great job. And then choosing who goes where, I mean, it's great. And each little part of the bracket, as you and I kind of were looking at it for points of emphasis or whatever, I mean, they did a great job. These are going to be really competitive opening round games. And then you've got a few teams, I think it's 8 teams maybe, that have a bye into that second round.
Right.
And those second round games look to be really good too. So great job with those guys as far as the matchups initially. And then obviously as we predict and look through down the bracket, we're looking at some really good stuff. So obviously I'm glad you're going with, but I'm glad there's 2 of us because we're going to have, our heads on multiple brackets.
Right.
But cool to be at Spooky Nook. I've never been there. I hear it's great. The whole facility, I guess the hotel's connected to it, or there is a hotel, and there's like a whole sports facility. So I'm looking forward to seeing something new. I've never been to Philly. We're flying through Philly. Maybe we'll grab dinner before we get out or something. I don't know, but looking forward to that trip.
Absolutely. And he did a great job. I mean, you're in 14 team pods in each section of the bracket, and did a good job of putting it together. And the other thing is watching some matchups. He did a good job of not pitting people who had already kind of played each other and trying to mix everybody up.
That's part of the initial thing with our brackets as well, is like trying to say who we think is going to head where and trying to make sure, people by this time of the year are seeing some new.
Yeah. I mean, because you got 56 teams, and that's just in the 17U bracket. And then there's a 16s and a 15s and a 14. And so, a great job there, but, they're loaded brackets as we look through them all the way through. So, I mean, it's really going to be three great days of basketball starting this Friday. And so, as you looked at the brackets, which one did you look at and go, man, that's kind of a tougher section to get through?
So the session, I guess when we look at it, maybe bottom left, the one where Fairfax and West Virginia Thunder have the initial buys, I'm intrigued by those. I've heard some really good things about some of the teams in that bracket, and there's some teams I obviously haven't seen this year. So I look for that to be, and when I say tough, I just mean like it's hard to pick it. I think that teams, it's going to be good basketball and good games, and you've got 2 veterans in the teams that have buys, and Aggie McCormick and Scott Johnson, that are maybe you could argue are seated higher or whatever, that could potentially match up down the line. So, that's intriguing. And then you've just got some teams on there. Team Rio, Books and Basketball, Team Durant, I-90 Elite, Cap City. They all have, represented their organizations and have a history. So that one really caught my eye. Let's see, what else did I see?
For me, the bottom right.
Yeah.
There with the GTS Fusion and Northwest Blazers Orange. That's a potential, quarterfinal or semifinal, quarterfinal matchup there in that bottom section. You kind of got the East Coast and the West Coast, Northwest, Northeast, could possibly get there as they seem to be the top 2 seeds, but you still got City Rocks and New Jersey Bells and Riverside Hawks and Empire State Flames, New Heights, books and basketball, 3SSB, which is, played pretty well. And so,
Yep.
for me, that's a section that, whoever's going to come out of there is going to be pretty solid, and have a chance to win. But, up and down, it's good first round matchups, potential second and third round matchups that are looking pretty promising. Now we've got to see some on live stream. Any predictions, like teams you think may make it, may not?
Man, that's going to be tough. As we talked before, like I'm really looking forward to seeing the Thunder and the Bruins in person because I
Mhm.
think live stream doesn't always do them justice as far as how well they execute and play just smoothly together. And then again, against an opponent, it's just I think I've always really valued watching their unit work, and but you get more detail of it obviously sitting on the baseline. I've seen them on film, and they both are doing a great job and competing. Um, I mean, as far as teams that I've seen, and again, we know the great majority of these teams we haven't seen. Some of them haven't played much yet, and then
Right.
others just haven't traveled. That's why this event served a definite need in the region for some of these teams. So obviously, to be fair, we haven't seen a lot of them. I mean, I expect Exodus to advance, WPA to advance, but don't sleep on like a Bria Holmes.
Mhm.
Boo's got a couple teams in here. I'm looking forward to seeing Bay State Jags. Lori and her staff do such a great job coaching per matchups and game planning. So don't sleep on those guys. Northwest Blazers Orange, I'm sure has some new blood. They've got some talent back from last year. They tend to be really competitive, do a good job. But books and basketball and that has been playing and has probably got something to say about that. So they've done well in some East events as well. Um, that section with the Thunder, they've done well. I expect them to advance. Fairfax hasn't played a lot, so that will be a factor, but
Mhm.
that will be interesting. All Ohio also, I saw them a little bit. I saw them scrimmage. Who was it? Maybe
At
Sports
Sports
City.
City. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did that
Well,
half court control.
yeah, they did a little bit of they controlled scrimmage type of stuff, right? So that'll be interesting. Power move. I'm looking forward to seeing them. Empire State, I've heard some good things, so we'll see. And then Team Curry, I've seen has some momentum. Played really well in the early events down there in the South. I think with Mo and John McGraw and those guys. So I definitely look forward there. Um, so we'll see. I mean, but I expect some of the names to advance. But really, what I look more forward to, sorry, I'm sitting outside.
Uh,
Uh, really, what I look more forward to is maybe a couple teams that'll surprise us, not just with individual players, but with the game planning and team play, right? And that's what I want to see. So, we know how you could have one of these teams that maybe is currently lesser known due to not having played that much. That might just have a point guard that runs the show, controls the whole game, and that's having the queen of the chessboard. And as we talk into the WNBA later, it's just a trend throughout women's basketball, especially at the pro level, that value of that floor general and ball movement and good open shots. So
right.
that's what I really look forward to. So that's why I mean, like our head's going to be on a swivel. The timing of this is all set up really well to where we can see some different things. So
Mhm.
you and I'll be passing the baton and hollering at each other and texting and moving and getting as many eyes on it as we can. Also looking forward to some of the guys that'll be on the baseline with us. I think Dan Olson's coming through, Brett McCormick's coming through. They haven't been going through us, so I don't know who else is coming through, but I definitely look forward to that. So we'll
Right.
be sharing stuff, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. And then, of course, Championship Sunday.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's nice to see these teams in person and live, and you can watch enough live stream, and whether it's Be the Beast or Baller TV and all that kind of stuff, but nothing beats seeing them live.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just excited just to the energy and the excitement for the event is going to give the event an added um, intensity and added gear to it, because so many people are just excited to be there with this competition. I can't tell you how many people are like, man, that field is loaded, and like it is in all divisions.
Yep.
um, and
Yep.
so it's really going to be a great opportunity for teams and for players to kind of put a stamp on their summer. I know it's been totally different with COVID-19, but really just to kind of put a big stamp, and whoever comes through this bracket and wins the Prime East, there's some bragging rights there.
Yeah,
Um,
they will deserve it. They will have earned it.
It
And
absolutely earned it.
I've had a handful of coaches tell me that they added some practices,
Yeah,
just to sharpen and fine tune. And then
make sure.
the other thing I failed to mention was in the younger brackets. Looking forward to seeing maybe some of the young players I saw at like a She Got Game DC
Mhm.
or Rose Classic in New York, or some other live stream high school stuff I watched over the year that we kind of uh, found the young players. I look forward to kind of seeing how their growth has been as well. And then, much to what you just said, as you play through a bracket, you win a 32 team bracket or more, you earned it. You definitely won that bracket, you know?
Absolutely. Well, and this is we played in a lot of tournaments, and these kids have played in a lot of tournaments, and in a lot of tournaments brackets, the first game is okay. It's kind of not really competitive. The second gets a little bit better. The quarterfinal, the semifinals and the finals are usually pretty good, right? Where this one is, you better be ready to come out of the gate. Like,
Mhm.
you win or lose that first round, you go to a different side of the bracket, and it means keep playing for a championship or just playing for a consolation. And so, and we talk about this all the time. It's not so much what you do, but it's who you do it against. And so, it's really uh, a great opportunity to kind of put some climax on the end of the summer with a huge championship. And so, shout outs to Matt and Select Events for all they did to bring this together, and shout out to all the teams who came.
Mhm.
Um, and wanted the heat and wanted competition and wanted to play against the best. And hey, let's measure ourselves and see what we got. Um, to end the summer. So look forward. We'll kind of travel up there tomorrow. Be ready to go. Enjoy a little bit of Philly. Be ready to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Um,
Sorry.
and so uh, we look forward to seeing all the teams there. If you're not there, you can check out the event at Be the Beast. Um, Live stream and stuff will be on there for Prime East. And so, even though if you're not there, you can still check it out online and follow along with Twitter with at PBR Hoops or Shane's or mine
I'm
or Select
selecting.
Events.
Yeah, sharing a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, yeah, Select Events also to kind of have updates from the event. So if you're there, be safe traveling. We look forward to seeing it. The other thing is we're going to get to see a lot of people we usually get to see throughout the year. Talked about Dan and Brett, but also the club guys. So it'll be nice to see them kind of hang out and do that kind of stuff. Um, so check it out, Be the Beast for the live stream. Follow us on Twitter for updates from the event. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk WNBA and some international basketball. So stay with us through this quick break. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Mark Williams. This is Shane Laflin. You're watching from the baseline with Premier Basketball. We're a couple weeks into the WNBA season in the wobble. And thoughts from this past week. I know you've seen Washington Mystics kind of go on a losing streak. You've seen the Las Vegas Aces get hot. You've seen some clear separation from the top echelon of the teams and the depth and the experience that they have there. Thoughts from the past week of the WNBA?
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, everybody's through 8 games, so it's like an appropriate, like even time to maybe compare at least
Right.
numeric. And then, you know, 8 of 22 games, roughly a third, 22 regular season games, roughly a third of the way through. Um, and I think, like you said, we've started to see some things. I think coming into the season, it didn't surprise anybody that Seattle was like the consensus choice. And I think they've proven so far to be that, despite Sue Bird's injury. And I think she's going to be back soon, but, time will tell. They haven't really
Right.
given a timetable, or I missed it if they did. But Seattle is, and at least kind of the next topic, especially this year, but generally the depth has such an impact on the league. And this year, when they're basically playing every other day, and what they did the first couple of weeks was there were no games on Monday. This week there were, and they're rolling straight through just to get all these games in. So we all know that a game every other day, you know, every once in a while you're going to be all right, but fatigue is a factor, and we've started to see injuries definitely be a factor. We saw Tarasi go down this week. Like I said, Sue Bird has been out. Some players are just barely getting back in, whether it was COVID related or injury related, and they weren't back in the bubble or the wobble just yet. So you see the teams with, in my opinion, Seattle, Chicago, Phoenix, and LA have the most depth. Vegas is in the conversation, but their guard play off the bench is lacking, and they have these lulls. And what's picking up the slack for them is they're having to kind of play positionless basketball maybe at times. Jackie Young stepping it up a little bit. McCautry can put it on the, obviously put in the hole, and Lambier does a great job of isoing Asia Wilson and getting her advantageous touches. But I ultimately think as the season wears on and in a series, their depth is going to be something that is hard for them to overcome as compared to these teams. I'll obviously like to talk about scoring and the way that they do things at that level, because I think that it's a great example for young people to be watching right now. So the highest scoring team in the league is Phoenix, averaging 88.8 points a game. Highest field goal percentage is Chicago, 48.3. We have 6 teams shooting the ball 45% or better. 3-point percentage, LA leads the league at 41%. 5 teams are above 35%. So I think when you're talking quality of play and things, you want that to be slightly higher, but maybe a little bit deeper as far as the 5 teams, but it's still pretty good. The assists, the Chicago Sky lead the league in assists at over 21 a game on 32.8 field goals. That's a 65% assist rate on their made field goals. Free throw percentage, Indiana Fever, 82.9%. 6 teams in the league are above 80%. Seattle leads the league in plus minus, so they're averaging 8.3 points above their opponents. Vegas is number 1 in rebounding. Minnesota Lynx, who've just done a tremendous job considering what they're missing and who's been hurt. Number 2 in rebounding. For them to be in the top third of the league is so impressive. I love watching Cheryl Reeve manage games. I'll say I'll become a broken record. I love it. And Seattle is number 1 in the league. They're 64% assisted made field goals. So about 20 assists a game, 31 field goals. So again, these teams that are scoring and winning are moving the ball. And what was so impressive, I didn't get to see it real time Monday night, but I DVR'd it and I watched the first half of Seattle and Chicago primetime matchup. And Jordan Canada got hurt. Or no, excuse me, 2 fouls early. And Seattle, after that, kind of ran the offense through Stewie. And Stewie ended up with 5 assists in the first quarter. That ball just zipped, and they picked up the flow, and they started scoring the ball. And Seattle's got shot makers and playmakers. Magbagor is really starting to come on.
Right.
And they've just got some depth. But I think what I would like for people to know about that is you've got Brianna Stewart, who I think many would agree is the best player in the league, maybe the best player in the world right now. It's not because of her ability to play you one-on-one all the time. She's got all the physical tools to score, but she doesn't force anything. She makes the right basketball plays. And it got her team going the other day. It had Sammy Whitcomb come off the bench and shoot it well. I think Seattle was plus 25, somebody told me, with Sammy in the game, which means Brianna was probably the point forward during that time. I mean, that's phenomenal. About half the league is what arguably in contention right now, but Seattle's the favorite. I think we're seeing transcendent performances out of generational players like Candace Parker and Brianna Stewart. I thought it was interesting the other day. I saw Candace Parker's moved into 14th all time in assists in league history, which is amazing.
Absolutely.
And then, like I mentioned, Stewie had 5 assists, I think, in the first quarter the other day. So just some cool trends. I've enjoyed watching it. I've got a couple guys that are experts in the league that we kind of have a group message during the games, and we talk a little bit. So their insight to the history and the comparative history of things, I think, is important in evaluation. Has been awesome. They like to remain anonymous because they've got close ties to the people in the league. But it's been cool. So yeah, I look forward tonight. It looks like we have Wings and Sun, Mercury Sky. Mercury Sky will be a great matchup to see, and then Dream Storm tonight. So that'll be good. That'll be real good. Looking forward to it.
It will be, and it's been great basketball. You've seen Seattle when Sue was out, Jordan Canada got to run the show, and now you're really seeing with them back together Jordan's maturity in running it. But you're seeing the difference in teams that are deeper with experienced players, and you're seeing a lot of rookies get shots and opportunities to play that they normally wouldn't. I mean, you got the Liberty that's got what 6, 7, 8 rookies. I don't know, some number like that.
Yeah.
And they're growing and they're getting
they got to win. They got their win.
They got to win, so that's huge. And so really, I mean, a shout out to the WNBA and making it work in the bubble this year, and so that we could have a season. And shout out to ESPN and NBA TV, and I know they just did a deal with Twitter to live stream some games, and you're seeing now at a time right now where there's just not a lot going on, where people are actually seeing it and going, man, this is some good basketball. It's entertaining.
Yeah, and a lot of people are putting work into an effort. I talked to a front office person today with the Dallas Wings about some stuff, and he mentioned to me just the demand for the players and the people and the media and the outlets that want to do things and how they're managing all that right now.
Right.
So that demand, we got to applaud those people. That's a lot of hardworking people. And then I think, I hope people are understanding, yes, it's sports, and yes, it's a fortunate thing to be a professional, but the people who are involved in it, they're working their tails off in that thing. When even talking about from the coaching staff to the people who are in there who are support staff to the people who are doing the meals and the laundry and prep and the staffing for the games, I mean, it is nonstop every day.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
That effort is to be applauded. And, you could have a worse job, right? But it's hard work.
Yeah. And I mean, all of them applauded, and, they got their families in, and hey, shout out to the players for giving up this time and isolating themselves and staying in the bubble and following the protocols where COVID's not, they did all these tests and there were some questionable tests, but everybody's been safe through it, and COVID hasn't entered. So, hey, shout out to the women and coaches and the WNBA staff who's really kept it a bubble just for the purity of the game for them to be able to play. Yeah. And so, huge shout out there.
Yep. 100%.
Hey, some news on the international front. About this time, people will be getting ready. The under-17 World Cup would have been being played, I think, starting tomorrow, actually. And so I know that's a big event for FIBA, the world of basketball, because this is the first World Championship of kids coming up in the development of their countries, and they get to qualify. And so it's a life experience. And so unfortunately, that's not happening this year. But what FIBA has done is they're doing a under-17 women's skills challenge, and that'll be August 18th through the 23rd. And so they've got some different things. There's going to be some games, but there's going to be some trainings. There's going to be kind of some mix of stuff, but they're going to bring 16 countries. Actually, this week right now, they're playing some qualifiers in Africa, and there are 4 major parts: Asia, Africa, Americas, and Europe, some qualifiers to get the final 7 teams. Because some countries who qualified just aren't sending teams, like Team USA won't be there, as we continue to deal with COVID. So that's going to be an interesting thing. It will be live streamed there. So that'll be kind of cool. It'll still give teams opportunities to play. It'll still give countries opportunity to be represented. And, Lithuania will be there. Mali will be there. Spain, Australia, Egypt, Italy, Puerto Rico, Romania, and China are the ones right now that have qualified, and then they have some qualifiers happening this week, and so more of those will come out on who's going to qualify and who will be there. So, they're trying to create a bubble and trying to get back to some basketball, and so that's a positive thing on an international front. The other cool thing is you're seeing countries starting to host under 15s and under 16s and 18s national camps. And a lot of them are already starting their preparation for the under 19s next year, for under 16s, under 18s in Europe. And so it's cool that the national federations are getting back together and basketball's there. Most of your pro leagues internationally probably won't start until about October. They push back the start of their season, and just to give plenty of time to figure out the whole COVID thing. And so, but from an international side, it's really exciting that basketball is back on. And so looking forward to seeing what the U17 Skills Challenge. I know we have Prime Week this week, and but we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that as we go, and look forward to having more updates on that and highlights from the Under 17 Skills Challenge after the event. And so
Cool.
should be
that'll we maybe cover some of that after. We could share some of that, maybe clip it or something. What for after our Prime event, right? Because it'll get done the day after. Cool.
Yeah, it ends on the 23rd, the same thing.
Oh yeah, same day.
During the Prime event. So
Yep.
So it'll be good. It'll be good. So which is cool. Everybody's just excited to, like we are here, to be able to play, have an international competition where countries are coming together, and they usually kind of create a bubble anyways at those events where teams are at certain hotels and travel, and it's very restrictive. Very much so. It'll be kind of a test to see on an international side how does that work. And shout out to FIBA for putting it together. They're doing a under 17 men's and under 17 women's skills challenge. So should be a pretty good deal.
Good.
Yeah. So excited about that. Well, we're excited about Prime East this weekend. I look forward to seeing everybody there who's going to be there in Philly. We're looking forward to seeing the games and competition and kicking off Prime Week for us and stuff. And so next week we'll recap Prime East. We'll preview the Prime event that weekend, and really looking forward to a great week of basketball. So
no doubt. We'll get the brackets out. We'll do the bracket reveals. I sent you guys stuff yesterday.
Yep.
As long as nothing changes, I feel like we feel good about those. So we'll be doing the bracket reveals early next week, and we'll be maybe giving some guys a heads up so they can maybe do some film study. So
there you go. Look forward to seeing the bracket. I know people are already like wanting to know and kind of get, hey, where are we at? Who we got first, second round? So I know we're looking
9.7% there. I'll get it to you.
It's there. We should, we got to have Prime East first. We got to let Prime East have its moment, and then we'll probably. What do you think? Probably Monday we'll announce.
I think we should be safe. I mean, it's set. I'm gonna, you always want to give it some time, and then we'll set it, get it in exposure, and get that thing out.
Yeah. So early next week, be looking for the brackets. We'll do a little preview on that event as well. And so we appreciate you tuning in. For Shane Laflin, I'm Mark Williams, coming to you from the Baseline.